When Franz traced Alicia's spine with his fingers, a shiver ran through her body. Feeling that burning heat, Elysia bit her lip. Not here. Aleisha frowned. Franz's efforts to tear down her emotional walls nearly destroyed her rationality. But she couldn't allow that. There was still a lot for them to do. Today was the first important step toward that. Clinging to her fading sense of rationality, Elysia wrapped her arms around Franz. When it came around his neck, Franz froze and drew a sharp breath. Are you angry? Franz asked cautiously. Aleisha stifled a laugh that almost escaped her. She had every right to be angry. She could even accuse him of manipulating her. But she wasn't angry. What if I am? At her question, Franz's body stiffened. Coldness replaced heat between them. In a calm voice that erased the passion of the previous moments, he said, "This will never happen again." Despite obeying his words, desire still permeated his voice. Elysia unwrapped her arms from around his neck and placed her hand on his cheek. His skin was cold, as if the previous heat had been a lie. Will you promise to never want or love me again? Franz's eyes widened. His look trembled with confusion. You won't come near me like that again? This, as he stuttered, Aleisha let out a light laugh. His worried face revealed his feelings. Elysia gently took the hand that was wrapped around her waist and whispered, "Don't make promises you can't keep." When she tried to free his hand, he tightened his grip, as if to say he would never let go. Aleisha sighed. I looked through the gap in the curtain into the ballroom. In the distance, she saw Nerys approaching. Instead, make a promise you can keep. Franz's gaze hardened, focused entirely on Aleisha. What kind of promise do you want? Promise me that you will take my revenge. That you will bring misfortune to whoever killed me. The veins in Franz's hand stood out as he held it. A strange light sparkled in his golden eyes. I swear I will. His face came close to her ear. When she felt his warm breath, his voice flowed. On my life, I swear it. Upon hearing his oath, Elysia closed her eyes. She hugged him tighter. His sincere oath gave her inner peace. Even though they hadn't started their revenge yet, it felt like everything had already been achieved. She wanted to rest in the comfort of his arms. Alicia's chest rose and fell slowly. She felt like her mind and heart were separate. She opened her eyes slowly. And when she moved her hand to embrace Franz, there you are. An uninvited guest had appeared. Elysia's hand fell. Her gaze shifted from Franz to the unexpected intruder. Ms. Roshanak. Elysia gently removed Franz's hand from her waist. Reluctantly, he took a step back and looked at Nerys, his gaze devoid of any emotion. What brings you here, ma'am? Nerys ignored Franz's cold gaze. I needed some air, so I left the ballroom. I didn't expect to find you two here. Feigning innocence, she widened her eyes as if she was surprised that someone was here. Since Nerys had left the door half open, some people in the ballroom were now looking in their direction. Nerys skillfully positioned herself to obscure Aleisha from view, as if she wanted to keep her hidden. Elysia saw through this obvious trick, and the corners of her lips lifted. What, do you want to spread rumors that she met the second prince alone on the balcony? Elysia opened the balcony door wide. The people who had been sneaking in were surprised when they saw her. Among them were Glenna and Crichton, who immediately began whispering as they looked out onto the balcony. What trick are you trying to play now? Aleisha sighed. She hadn't been at the party for long yet, and yet she already felt exhausted. Ma'am, enjoy the breeze. I'll be going. At her words, Franz stepped to her side and offered his arm, adopting a companion position. Elysia scanned the ballroom with her eyes, meeting her gaze with Sarah, who was waiting nearby. Sarah immediately approached, carrying a shawl. Okay then. While Sarah placed the shawl on her shoulders, Elysia spoke coldly. Nerys, now left behind, flushed with frustration. Your Highness. Nerys called desperately. But Franz did not look back. He acted as if he didn't hear her. Prince Franz. In a panic, Nerys grabbed his arm. Elysia and Sarah, who were about to leave the balcony, stopped at the sudden noise. Don't you remember me? I'm Nerys. Don't you know me? 4 years ago, in Nerit, we met. Franz frowned, as if something dirty had touched him. He shook her hand with a sharp movement. Touching a member of the royal family without permission, at his reprimand, Nerys' face turned pale. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her big eyes were filled with tears, she looked miserable and tragic. But no one who saw her felt pity. When her tears failed to move anyone, her expression convulsed with frustration. She looked at Franz with eyes full of hatred. How can you treat me like this? I came to Caleb's just to see you. I didn't send you an invitation. Franz said coldly, his lips curling in a sneer. If you come to a birthday party, at least make a birthday wish before you leave. Your Highness. Enough. Aleisha put her finger to her lips as if to silence Nerys. At the quiet sh sound, Nerys blinked. Elysia lowered her hand and smiled seductively. Don't make a fuss over nothing, Lady Nerys. Because if you do, you'll get fired. At Alicia's gentle warning, Nerys gritted her teeth in frustration. As her eyes burned toward Aleisha, Sarah stepped between them. I will escort you to your room, Your Highness. Elysia followed Sarah's lead and walked away. She felt Nerys' burning gaze on her back, but she didn't care. It was no longer her role to be the one left behind. How could His Highness treat me like this? Nerys got angry. Sitting in the drawing room, Glenna listened to her complaints with half an ear. Their plan to have Franz meet Nerys at Crichton's birthday party failed spectacularly. She couldn't steal Franz from the second princess, and he didn't show even the slightest interest in her. Nerys, who had been so confident as she headed to the balcony, returned defeated. If she hadn't been Count Roshanak's daughter, Glenna and Crichton would have gotten rid of her long ago. So it was useless. What am I missing compared to the second princess? Why is he always chasing her? This is the 10th time you've said that, Nerys. Glenna stifled a yawn with her hand. Talking bad about the second princess was usually fun, but Nerys had a way of making even juicy gossip boring. Glenna looked at the ring on her finger. The large yellow sapphire sparkled brilliantly. Just admit that you lost. You were not able to win the heart of the second prince. How can I win him over when she's always stuck by his side? I couldn't even get him to look at me. And you say that like it's something you're proud of. Glenna murmured dryly, rubbing the jewel on her ring. Nerys, overwhelmed by her anger, didn't even hear the sarcasm. If I had heard her, I would not have risked arguing with Glenna, the first princess. Nerys was just one of Glenna's tools. Glenna tried to comfort her superficially. Don't worry too much. How could I not worry? Did the second princess wear a ring like this? Nerys blinked and looked at Glenna's ring. She studied the ring Glenna wore every day and shook her head. No, she was just wearing a necklace. A family heirloom given to her by Her Majesty the Empress. It's made of diamonds, I know that. Glenna waved her hand impatiently, annoyed. Then, quietly, she looked directly at Nerys. If you're not wearing any other jewels, there's still a chance. So calm down. She said meaningfully, then motioned for Nerys to come closer. When Nerys leaned over, Glenna began to whisper softly in her ear.